Hey guys! Mindset is one of the main factors affecting gameplay performance, consistency, and improvement. Over the last 5 years, I climbed from Silver to Challenger and learned a lot about battling suboptimal mindset. In this video, I'll discuss things that helped me with this, and since different mindsets can work for different people, I'll discuss multiple methods and ideas for improving your ranked mentality. The first point is playing champions or roles that you enjoy. So I've discussed this on my stream loads of times before. Playing things over and over is how you improve at the game, because you play the same champ, therefore you get used to using their combos, you get used to their mechanics, and then you can actually think about what's going on in the game instead of just your champion. So it's far easier to do this when you're playing something you enjoy, because if you enjoy it, you're going to be fine with playing 20, 50, 100, 200 games of it, therefore you're going to get better at the game. On top of that, if you're playing a champion or a role that you enjoy, then there's little victories regardless of the end game result. So for example, if you're playing a role or a champ just because you think it's the best for your elo, then when you lose, it can feel as though the game was like a waste, purely a negative experience, etc. But when you're learning a champ that you enjoy, even when losing, there are positives to the situation because you're getting better at something that interests you. The second point I have is watch replays of your deaths after you've had a tough game. Now, this personally helped me massively. It helped me reduce tilt, it helped me get ready for playing my next game after having a tough loss. So after tough games, it's easy to end up fully blaming the loss on your teammates. For example, if your jungler is 1-5, but you are 2-2 and you lost, it's easy to think that you had no part in the loss. And then you slowly erase the mistakes that you made from your head, and then when you look back on the game, you're like, just unwinnable game. It was completely impossible. And this causes frustration and will likely lead to a coin flip mentality where you put your teammates fully in control of the result of the game. And obviously doing this is bad, because then when you're queuing up for a game, you don't believe that you can actually be the difference maker, subconsciously or consciously, and that will be reflected in your play. You'll start thinking negative things as soon as people die once or twice. It's just a bad place to be. So watching your deaths will show you the mistakes that you made, both helping you improve your gameplay and showing you that even in unfair games, there's always more you could have done to maximize the chances of the win. So you watch the deaths after the game. Number one, you might realize some patterns will start emerging of mistakes that you keep making when you die. For example, overextending, or you're holding your flash too long, things like that. And on top of that, it will show you that if you do improve your play, you'll potentially win some of these games that you think are completely unwinnable. And that's obviously a positive for mentality. The third point is what I'm going to call the bot method. I think other people might have different names for it, but I'll just call it the bot method. So a lot of you guys will probably have heard this before, and some people find it extremely useful for improving their gameplay, reducing frustration, etc. So the method involves looking at each League of Legends game as a single player game where you have 4 bots of varying skill on your team and 5 on the enemy team. And the goal is to make the best possible plays during every stage of the game, where sometimes the bots on your team will perform way worse than those on the enemy team, which will result in a more challenging game, and sometimes it'll be the other way around. So basically, everyone's a bot except for you, and you just have to react and adapt to the situation and make the best plays possible. And this method works because it puts all of the focus into your own gameplay and allows you to find success and improvement regardless of a win or a loss. For example, if you view it if you're an AD carry player, and your support dies on bad roams twice, your mid lane dies in lane, your jungler dies, and your top laner is equal. If you somehow manage to out-CS your lane opponent and you manage to get 1 or 2 good outplays, you can focus on what you did to allow that to happen. Remember that, bring that into your future games. So there's some positives, it's not all about the result with that method. And you can also have it in your head that since there are 4 bots on your team and 5 on the enemy team, if you're consistently slightly better than your lane opponent, or slightly better than the average level of that game, 100% you'll climb over time. because there's randomness element to only 4 people on your team, but 5 on the enemy team. So more often the enemy team will do badly than your team. Over time, of course. Sometimes bad streaks will happen. Here are some final tips that helped me over the years. Avoid making statements about your games and make statements about specific games instead. So, I'm sure we've all been there. You've had a hard day of games, and then you start saying things like, in all my games, my top laner and my mid lane are just feeding, or every game my bot lane just loses and it's GG, right? Saying that, you're projecting this idea that happens in all your games, in the future and in the past. It's going to keep happening. Therefore, when in the next game you play, your bot lane might die once in the beginning, you're already going to be in that mindset of, oh my god, it's another game where the bot lane are losing, it's so doomed, it's so doomed. But if you confine your comments to specific games, and you say it in a factual way, where you're like, last game, my bot lane died multiple times, full stop. Then you're not telling yourself subconsciously that it's going to keep happening. You're saying it did happen, it won't necessarily happen again, and we can move on. Because this is what happens a lot of the time when people will flame in chat, for example. So they have their bot lanes lose twice in a row. In a third game, their bot lane dies once in lane. First of all, you didn't see how they died. You know, you don't know why they actually died. And second of all, the person's frustrated, so they go, troll bot lane, just FF, right? And for all you know, this bot lane could actually be better than the enemy bot lane. They had one unlucky death and they'll bring it back. But then your toxic mindset will end up making them play worse and the game could be a disaster, partly because of that. So when unlucky stuff happens in a game, if you must discuss it afterwards with anyone or make any statements, make the statements about that specific game. Don't make all-encompassing statements about all your games, because that's just a way to tilt yourself. Having specific points to improve on also helped me massively, and it prevented me from just queuing up for the sake of it, and with the only purpose being to gain LP. So if I've noticed that, let's say I've recently hit a new peak elo, and I realize, at the end of the laning phase, I'm generally having lower CS than my lane opponent, even when the lane is relatively equal. Then I'll make my main goal for having, I don't know, I'll make up a number, having 170 CS at 20 minutes every game. Okay? Obviously, some games there'll be exceptions, but if that's my main focus, if I manage to do that and also play effectively, even if I lose, there's some sort of success within that game. And in my opinion, having successes or positives within your losses is one of the main important things to prevent massive tilt and prevent just this mindset where you're just so frustrated and you're just like, I'm just going to queue up again. I need to get the LP back. It's all about the LP. Because realistically, everyone knows it's about the improvement, but few people actually play as if it's about the improvement and not about the LP. So having sub goals will help your mindset a lot. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope that it was helpful and will be helpful in your future ranked games, and maybe in other endeavors too. I stream 6 days a week at twitch.tv/SimbaADC with educational ranked gameplay and coaching and some fun stuff too. I'd love to see some of you guys there. If not, no worries. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'll see you next time.